Aloha, I'm Evan Weber and I'm one of the co-founders of the Sunrise Movement. I'm standing here in Kailua, just a few blocks away from my childhood home where I grew up in the Ahupua'a of Ko'olaupoko. And I'm standing here on a beach that is now disappearing because of the crisis of climate change. That crisis is occurring because a handful of the wealthy and well-connected at the top of society, their greed and cowardice has caused them to delay, deny, and deceive so that we have not been able to act at the scale that climate change demands us to. That's why for the last 2 years, the Sunrise Movement has been building an army of young people to stop climate change and create millions of good jobs in the process. We are organizing our generation to make climate change an urgent national priority, end the corrupting influence of fossil fuel executives on our politics, and elect real leaders who will stand up for the health and well-being of all people and the places we call home. At the end of last year, scientists with the United Nations told us that we have just 12 years to take action at an unprecedented scale and speed to transform our entire society and economy and have a chance at averting the worst impacts of a warmed world. A month later, and a week after the 2018 elections, leaders of our movement from across the nation descended on Capitol Hill to ask the leadership of the newly elected Congress, what is your plan? What is your plan to fight for our generation's future? And as we asked this question, we also catapulted a solution at the scale of the crisis we face into the national spotlight: a Green New Deal. The Green New Deal is a 10-year mobilization to achieve environmental sustainability and economic prosperity for all. It's a common sense solution to the linked crises of climate change, inequality, and our democracy that my generation has grown up with our entire lives. A Green New Deal will create millions of good jobs and rebuild our infrastructure for the 21st century. As a nation, we've been in crisis before. World War II, the Great Depression, even the recession of 2008. The solution today is the same as it was then: a full-scale economic mobilization that invests in our communities and puts millions of Americans to work. We know how to pull together against impossible odds. At the very least, we owe it to my generation and those who come after us to try. Like the original New Deal, a Green New Deal will grow and fix the economy to create shared prosperity while forging a new social contract with the American people that says that everyone has a right to clean air and water, healthy food to eat, healthcare, access to nature, education, good jobs, and a livable future, and that no one should be left behind in our transition to a new economy. While we need the federal government to put skin in the game to catalyze action at the speed and scale we need for a Green New Deal, we can't wait for DC to get its act together, and every level of government and society will have a role to play. Also, like transformations of the past, cities like yours are already leading the way and showing the federal government how it's done. For too long, we've been fed a lie that we have to choose between good jobs and a good environment. Many of your cities are already proving that wrong. So many of you have been leading on these issues, from the over 100 cities who have committed to 100% clean electricity, to major cities like New York and Los Angeles who are proposing components of their own Green New Deals, focusing on creating good jobs and protecting public health, reducing emissions from buildings and transportation. But it's not enough, and there's more that all of you can do. Number 1, declare a climate emergency and commit to mobilizing the full resources and levers of your city towards addressing climate change and inequality through a Green New Deal. Number 2, use your position to back, endorse, and advocate for a federal Green New Deal and create plans for what your city would do if it had the investment and support from the federal government. Number 3, you must give a seat at the table to the communities at the front lines of the climate crisis in developing your climate plans. Indigenous communities, poor communities, communities of color, and young people. The time to act was yesterday. But everything that we do can help to save millions of lives and prevent more places that people call home from disappearing into the sea.